Hey guys, and before I get into this review, just a little bit of a notice for tomorrow's review. It's going to be it's going to be later, it's going to be late, but by the time I get to it, probably, I won't be getting to the My Hero Academia chapter review until, probably nighttime tomorrow. But anyway, moving on from that, let's talk about One Piece. So I guess the first place to start with this episode is it's revealed to us that it's in part thanks to Caesar that Chopper can sustain his monster form for more than 3 minutes now. He can do it for half an hour basically. Which even now I'm kind of weird on this because on one hand, while it does make sense that Caesar with his knowledge of gigantification would help Chopper improve this aspect of his power, at the same time it's fucking Caesar. Why would you trust him to help you with anything? Anything he helps you with, there's almost guaranteed to be a poison pill of some kind. And granted, he made he didn't even beat around the bush about it. He said that yes, in order for Chopper to achieve this, it is going to be risking his own life. So I guess I gotta give him some cred for being honest about it. But at the same time, I don't know. Anytime Caesar's involved, I just don't trust the guy. But again, at the same time, I do also have to admit he did bring up a good point. As current circumstances proved, being able to maintain Monster Point for that extra amount of time is what has allowed Chopper to survive this long against both Queen and Perospero. And yeah, following that though, the announcement of Luffy's defeat gets broadcast all over Onigashima, leading to the Animal Kingdom pirates gaining the upper hand, which honestly, this is where the real test of Wano's adaptation is going to begin for me, because beyond this point, don't hate me, just being honest, a lot of my investment in the fights of the Straw Hats versus Animal Kingdom pirates was kind of dropped off, and a lot of that was because of how much it felt like Oda was kind of rushing through a lot of the fights after this point, just so he could get to the fights involving the Monster Trio sooner, and that's in part the reason why, for weird as it is going to sound, I'm hoping Toei slows the pace a little bit for some of these fights, so maybe I'll at least feel a tiny bit more emotional investment than I did here in the anime than I did in the manga. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, the one thing I did find also kind of odd about this episode is with how much the episode title play of the Animal Kingdom pirates and Kaido gaining the advantage and upper hand in the war with Luffy's defeat. There's surprisingly very little of that in the episode itself, except for in the end. And what I mean by that is, while I wasn't expecting any major fights to start, I was surprised by how little fight setup we actually got. I don't know, I expected things to ramp up a little more in the fights of Jinbe versus Who's Who, Robin versus Black Maria, or any of the other fights going on, but no, if anything, most of it was just once again focused around Chopper's fight with Queen, which, to be fair, I think that is more or less how it did play out in the manga, but again, I feel they could have shifted a little bit more focus away from Chopper in this episode and set as much time as they could aside for the other fights. But I suppose, just to be fair, I don't know how much time they could have spend with the other major turning point of the chapter, Kanjuro appearing before Momonosuke ready to kill him, which, yeah, can we talk about that whole scene in general? Because Toei went above and beyond in how they animated that scene. If I was, this is one of those moments where if I was scared for Momonosuke from reading the manga, the anime actually genuinely terrified me for Momonosuke's safety in this episode, because credit to Toei, they really played up the fear Momonosuke was feeling in that situation of having to face down someone masquerading as his father, and just the desperation that everyone else felt at the time of wanting to believe that was his father. And even more so, I think the anime just did a better job at playing up just how close Momonosuke was to actually dying at Kanjuro's hands in this moment. It generally made the whole experience that extra touch more suspenseful, even if we know he wasn't going to die. But even more so than that, though, I like how despite being forced to kill Kanjuro, despite seeing Kiku cut down before him, the one thing Kinemon wanted more than anything else was just to understand the man he genuinely considered a friend, even after his betrayal. And for he wanted to understand who Kanjuro was, what it was that drove him to all this. And for Kanjuro, I think somewhere deep down, I think he himself also realized of all the Yakuza, he did form, I think, a genuine connection with Kinemon. So I think even though he still kind of died technically I think even for him, even though he died with his pride as a Kurozumi, I think somewhere deep down, he also felt that the only way for things to end for him was to be cut down by Kinemon, by the man who he genuinely considered a friend and no one else. And yeah, what a way to end an episode. Like, holy shit, Kaido coming in, just wrecking Kinemon, tossing him aside, leaving really no one left between him and Momonosuke, at least for now, which you can probably take a guess who's going to take on Kaido with Luffy out of the picture now. Like, there's really only one person who can really take on Kaido now, and that is Yamato, which yeah, it's gonna the next couple of episodes are definitely gonna be interesting. Like this is definitely where Wano start. Like I did complain a lot in this episode about how it wasn't what I was expecting, but I imagine part of the reason also as to why this episode didn't probably play up a lot of the fights as much as I could is probably they wanted their own episode for that. But but you can probably tell who's gonna be facing Kaido now. Like Yamato is gonna be the one to face him in order to face Kaido down now. And this is where, for better or worse, even though this episode wasn't what I was expecting, this is where Wano just continues to ramp up again and again and again. Like, this is only the start of Wano ramping up, really, in some ways. But, yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll, be sure to notification bell, the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.